Hi everybody, this is Courtney with Fiber Fox Studios, and today I'm going to do that Furls hook review. So what you're seeing in front of you right here are the Furls hooks that I purchased approximately a month ago during the time that they were doing their big 25% off sale for their birthday. Furls Hooks is 8 years old apparently this year. So today I am going to tell you that after working with these hooks for a month exclusively, this is the only hook that I've used. I'm going to tell you what I think about these hooks, whether they're worth the money, and I'm also going to show you another hook, something I created a few years ago now that I feel is possibly a good solution for some of you. So we're going to jump into this review. Again, I just want to always remind you guys, I buy everything that I show on this channel with my own money. Nothing is donated to me or given to me as a sponsorship. I am not affiliated with Furls Hooks. It doesn't matter to me if you purchase these hooks or not. I do not make any money off of them, and they're not involved in this review. They'll probably never even see it. So, let's talk about the two that I got. This one right here is the turquoise color. So this is an Odyssey Furls hook. So these are all metal. Well, the tip is metal. This portion of the hook is an acrylic, so it's plastic. They are weighted and balanced, and that I could tell. My very first impression that I had when I received this hook, took it out of the box, was, oh my gosh, it's heavy, and I love it. Just the overall look, the feel of the hook and everything, they are impressive. They retail for $33 each. That's a lot of money. That is not in everybody's budget. And I realized that at the time that I purchased these hooks, I bought both of these. They were 25% off, and my grand total purchase was $49.50. And of course, that's in USD. I'm in America, so I'm talking in our dollars, our money. So if you are overseas, in another country, these could very much potentially be higher for you guys. I don't know the conversion on that, but they do have a few different options on their website. There are cheaper Furls hooks. There's the wooden ones. I think the big difference between those, I don't own any of those, but I do think the big difference has to do with the head on the hook. I don't know that they necessarily show it as well as I wish that they would on their website, so that's why I'm trying to get up close and let you guys see that. The one thing I can say is it is very nice. I did find on the blue hook that there was some areas where it felt a little bit rougher. I'm trying to hold it at this angle because I do want you guys to see this is wiped off. I've wiped it off, but you can see tool markings. So my understanding of Furls is they have a 100% lifetime warranty. If you have any issues with your hook, you can contact them and they will replace it, no questions asked. And I'm sure that if I brought this up to their attention, that you can kind of see those scuffs. This is how mine came. It has not been put in a bag with other hooks, needles, or scissors. I was actually putting them inside their box when I would carry one with me. So I'm just trying to show some of you, these are, handmade from my understanding. By no means am I a Furls expert, but you can see some of the tool marks. And it didn't wipe off. It won't wipe off. It's not going to change. So you can kind of see that. If I had paid $33 for this hook, I definitely would have contacted them. I would have wanted it to be completely perfect. I know some of you, this would be a huge problem. That's why I'm bringing it up. And I'm just pointing it out and letting you guys see the tool marks and stuff. There's one spot right there, which again, I've handled it, but you can see that one little spot. It does kind of look like maybe possibly some of the adhesive or something they use in polishing this might have dropped on there and formed like a little water spot that won't come off. So that's what that looks like. Here's what the handle looks like. Again, this part right here is the acrylic part. So this is an Odyssey hook. It is gorgeous. Now, we've gone over the look of it and we've talked about how beautiful it is. It's weighted, it is balanced, it feels great in your hand. When you get these, the first thing you think is, oh, this is fancy. At least for me, that's what I thought. I can't tell you guys what you're going to think. But for me, that's what I thought was, ooh, it is fancy. I liked it. Now let's talk about crocheting with it. Some people did warn me when I brought up that I had purchased these hooks and that I was going to be using them, doing a review. Bring up to me that there's a learning curve with these, and there is. Because of that weight that you may not be used to, and because of the shape and where you're going to be holding this hook and holding your fingers apart, that's the key thing. It's supposed to help with some of the damage that can cause from those repetitive movements that we make when we're crocheting. So it was brought up to me and pointed out that there's a learning curve. I may have some soreness, and I did. The very first thing I noticed is I was using the blue Odyssey right here. This is the one I was using on one of the tops that I'm doing for the channel and a little cardigan. It has puff stitches, and when I was using it for those puff stitches, that rock back motion that I make when I'm doing a puff stitch, I was feeling this in my wrist big time. I really was like, oh, hook is actually hurting me. I powered through that and I continued to work with it, and that got better. It was also partly me, the way I was holding it. You kind of have to learn what's the best and most comfortable way to hold this when you're doing some of those different stitches that you might be doing with this. You can do any stitch you want, obviously. Both these hooks, this is a 5.5 millimeter. Both of these hooks, they do crochet very nicely. Do I think that I crocheted faster? No. I don't think I crocheted faster. I crochet pretty fast with your run-of-the-mill average hook. That being said, I am going to purchase more of these over time as I find coupons and that sort of thing. I do love them. I don't think that they're going to be for everyone. And with that price tag of $33 a piece for the Odyssey right here, that is a lot of money to spend on one crochet hook. And if you're not spending $49, you have shipping on top of that. Depending on where you are in the world, this could be a $50 hook, and that is a lot of money. Is it worth $50? If I was just buying one, had to pay shipping, and I was paying about $10 for shipping, maybe a little bit more, and I'm in the over $40 to $50 range, I would not be buying these. Keep in mind they are handmade. You do pay a little bit more for handmade, but these are mass produced. So this is not handmade, unique, one and only that will ever exist. However, I can't tell you, does it really help with arthritis and stuff? I still feel all that. I'm double jointed, so I can actually bend this part of, some people think it's gross, so I'm not going to show you, but I can bend this tip of my finger down completely flat into like where I have an L shape, like forming an L. So I'm double jointed. I have the arthritis feeling in all my joints, mostly in these second joints. Does it help to alleviate some of the pain that you get from sitting and crocheting for hours and hours and hours? Yes, I do think it does, because the shape, it's helping to keep your hands from being so squished down. I'm going to grab another hook real quick. This is what I made. So this was a few years ago. I made this for doing very small lace work type stuff. I use a lot of lace weight yarn, and I was working on a shawl. And as you can see right here, this is a 3.75 millimeter hook that I have inserted into a little wood piece. I found it out in the yard. Now this hook is very small. It's got the head on it that I like. You can see right there the brand. I'm a boy girl. That's what I prefer. I was doing a shawl using lace weight size 1 yarn, and having my fingers so squished down like this was hurting, and it was causing me a lot of pain. So I decided to walk outside, and I grabbed up this little piece of oak. It was just a branch that had fallen on the ground. It had bark on it that wasn't so bumpy, so I sanded it down. When I went to rinse off some of that sanding that I was doing, I saw all this gorgeous patterns and swirls and things exposed. So I left it just like that. It's nice and smooth for me. I sanded down this little spot for my thumb, as you can see right there. So I hold this like this, and as you can see, I'm trying to get an angle that you guys can see, it does keep my fingers apart, just like Furls. It actually is more so, and this is super comfortable for me. This costs $0 for me to make. This is like maybe a $2 hook, and I already had it. I was using it, and I had some floor varnish that I just had from doing our tiny house. So we hung it up and varnished it. My husband had small drill bits that we drilled in, and then I kind of crammed that thing. We used a smaller drill bit than what the size of this hook is. So we just went down one smaller. He drilled the hole for me. We crammed this thing down in there. I put a little bit of glue. It's not gonna come out easily, and it's never slid out on me, but because it's glued in. And then of course when I varnished, I kind of let some of that varnish go, floor poly, go down in there. I realize not everybody's gonna have a can of floor poly sitting around, so that might be the only thing you have to go out and purchase. You can get a small can, like the little quart, I think is what the size is. They're small, and in the US you can find those for $7 to $12. Depending on what region you're in, you're not going to use a lot, and that does require high ventilation. So this is something you're going to do outside on a patio, and you can varnish it. You can hang it using something like a little hook that you can screw in right here into the hole that you've made, and you can hang it to dry, let it dry, and you will have a perfectly good hook. I sanded the edges on everything. I know not everybody can make something like this, but it is possible. Or maybe you have a neighbor that could help you out and do something like this for you. I don't sell these or anything. This is just something that I made, so I'm just showing you guys. Out in your yard, you might find something that alleviates a lot of the pain. I find that this works better when my hands are really hurting at these second knuckles. I really find that this is a lot of help for me. Now, I made two. I made one in a larger size and then the smaller size. I rarely use larger size hooks. 5.5 is the most common hook that I would use that's on a larger size to me. I know some of you use, a plethora of hooks. I'm not a big fan of bulky yarn, so this is really adequate for me, and I use it on quite a bit. Even up to size 3 yarns, so like DK weights and stuff. I've made lots of things just using this, and I can crochet for hours and hours and hours with this, just like I can with these. So, these are great. They're fancy. I love them because they're fancy. They do help some with my pain in my hands, but it's not an instant cure. I can't tell you that this really does help, like with long-term damage that can occur from the repetitive movement, because I haven't had any scans done. I would have to have a scan done, keep using these babies, go back, every 3 months or 6 months and have another scan done to see what it looks like. My insurance is probably not going to pay for anything like that, so I can't go that far with this. That's the only way I can tell you that you're not, whether it's going to help with any damage or not. They claim that it does help. They have a whole section on the Furls website that explains the benefit of these hooks. They've done the research and all. You can read that for yourself on furls.com and check that out. I would not purchase a full set of these until you have tried them for a while. Give it a fair shot if you do want to try these. At least use the hook exclusively for several weeks and see if some of that initial pain that you're going to feel fades away. For those of you who have like sensory issues, sometimes metal is just something you can't work with, Furls is a good option for that because this handle is not metal. This is acrylic. Here's one of my old schools. I've had this thing for years. I still use these though. Like prior to having to exclusively use the Furls to do a fair review on it, I've only used this for the last month. I won't give up this. I don't have. This is a 4.5 millimeter. I'm sorry. I believe it is. Or is it my 4? No, it's my 4.5. And the turquoise is a 4.5. because I spent so much money on this, I'm obviously going to use it more. I'm going to get my money's worth out of this one. I've been using this one on the cardigan that I'm working on for the channel, so I'm going to keep using it. It does, you get even stitches, but if you're a new crocheter, you're not going to just suddenly have even stitches just because you grabbed a Furls hook. It takes that muscle memory and everything from learning. So this is not going to suddenly make you crochet perfectly. I don't care what anybody claims. I get as good of a stitch with this metal hook as I do with this furl hook. Or Furls hook. I also use these types. These are what I've been using when I really realized that I was having more problems than what I wanted to admit with my hands. I went out and one by one picked up these different boy hooks. They're the ergonomic hooks. So I'm just showing these to kind of give you an idea. For a bargain hook that helps some, this will work great. These at Walmart are about $5 a piece in my Walmart. This right here, this is like a no-name brand. They sell them at Hobby Lobby, and you can find sets of these on Amazon for really, like a whole set for like $10 or $12 all day long. The sizes do rub off on them, but typically your sets are going to be color coded. You can also write it in, permanent marker on a little card and keep it with your set. So your pink is in my case, pink is 3.5 millimeter, an E hook. So it does fade off really quickly though. I like these. When I hold them, I'm holding like this. I think it's great. I don't have any problems with it. I think this is as good as this. And I'm sure you can get sets of the boy ergonomic hooks, for a lot cheaper than buying them one at a time. My Walmart just didn't have any that way. They didn't have any sets. So, that were different colors. I do like my hooks to be different colors, so I can look at that and know that this is my 2.25 millimeter. This is my 3.35 millimeter. This is my 6.5 millimeter. So, this is still in the boy series. But, as you can see, because it's a larger hook, my fingers are more spread apart. That's, really the key is when we're using these teeny tiny hooks, straight metal, a lot of times we have to learn not to put as much pressure where we're bringing our fingers all together and putting pressure, because that's going to cause you a lot more pain. So this size, obviously, it's bigger, so it holds my fingers further apart than this one, but they're still apart. For me, the most comfortable is fingers as far apart as I can be. That's why I like that wooden one. So same thing here, fingers held apart. And then I'm going to show you on the straight metal. My fingers are apart, but they're a lot closer together. And if I'm also adding pressure, I'm going to cause problems. So I have all different kinds of hooks. I really do. And then, of course, we have the Furls, which are great. But if these are not in your budget, or for the longest time, I just could not bring myself to spend that much money. I was like, no way. And those $165 Furls hooks, I'll never buy one. Ever. I don't care. It's limited edition. I don't judge people. If that's what you're collecting, if you're doing this as a collection, you really love it, you want to spend that much, by all means, go ahead. You do you. But me, I'd rather buy yarn with that money. That's more than my car insurance payment. I just can't do that. But, I paid like $24.50, $24.75, something like that when these were on sale, with that coupon that I used. So it was a little better price for me, and more, it was something I could, be comfortable with. But any of these will work. You don't have to have these. It's just it's a preference. And they are very nice. You do feel fancy when you first get it. You get used to that weight though. And of course, my old faithful, I will not even buy a Furls hook in the 3.75 millimeter because I have this and I will not stop using this. I love it. This wood, while you guys might think, oh my gosh, that's probably so heavy, it's really not. It's the type of wood, and it wasn't very dense. That's why I picked it up. Yeah, I was picking up a bunch of sticks out there. But this is so comfortable for me. I hold it like that. If I'm doing a puff stitch, I might bring my thumb or my finger down here on this thumb pad, you know, the little finger rest, and do it that way. But I get less movement in my wrist, and that's another issue that I have, is wrist pain. So these are all my hooks. I recommend all of them for different reasons. This you can make yourself, you know, once you purchase that metal hook. These are great, but you don't have to have them. This right here is as good as this right here to me. And like I said, I'm not selling these, and I'm not trying to sell these, and I won't be selling these. So I'm not just trying to sell you on something on my Etsy shop. You won't find this. I'm not going to do these. You can do this yourself. And if somebody needs more details, needs me to show, you know, like a bare piece of wood that I chose or anything like that, leave me a comment down below. I do have one. I just didn't grab it and bring it down here because we're just reviewing hooks. But if you need some more information on exactly what to do to make something like this, sizes on bits and things like that we used, things we'd recommend, I can put together a video in a few weeks on that with the help of my husband. But that's only if somebody really needs it and is interested. I feel like a lot of you will be able to figure this out and tell whether you can do it for yourself or get a grandson or neighbor to help you make something like this to try out. It's all going to be in the weight of that piece of wood that you choose, whether this is going to be too heavy for you or not. So, and you can go smaller. I went extra big, you know, but you can go with a little bit smaller, making it more this size of the Furls hooks, and that might work out great for you as well. So thank you guys as always for watching. Hopefully this has answered your questions on whether you might want to try Furls hooks or not. Remember, I'm not affiliated. I'm not getting paid to talk about this. I don't want to be paid to talk about this from Furls. They're not sponsoring anything, so it doesn't matter to me whether you buy these hooks or not. I will provide a link below so you guys can go to their website, but it's not an affiliate link. It is just to help you get there. That's all. Until next time, bye for now.